This is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Scoop News. The pictures you're seeing are Letson Stadium, and this is the damage that was done back, I believe it was around the 7th, about 10 days ago, to Letson Stadium. And the city sent out the pictures, and what I did is I included it in a web page where it listed a bunch of different damages throughout the city. It's gone largely unreported. Then they had a city council meeting on Tuesday, and with that they mentioned the issue of the parks. And for some reason, I was the only person to cover it. I'm not sure why. And it's detrimental because in that conversation, I put the videos up of the city council meeting and everything. They discussed closing down it because 11% of the residents maybe use it, and they're not even sure it's really that high. And the cost, and they're trying to see, justify the costs associated with it, which I think is about $2.5 million over the next 5 years that the city is looking at and putting out. When they went to the county, according to Hollick, he said he went to one of I believe it was a deputy director, and they said, we don't want anything to do with it. We could care less what you do with it. If you want to put condos on it, put condos on it. That's none of our business. According to the Carol Brown, she said that she told county commissioners basically that during a budget workshop that 50% of the money is going over towards Benderson Rolling Park, which shows you how influence can pave the way, if you know what I mean, when it comes to Benderson. And then you also have the Atlanta Braves that are getting a lot of money, and that's where they said, hey, it won't impact the residents of Northport, Venice, Sarasota. It will, because they're taking money away that $20 million that we would normally have for other things, other tourism, other events. It's also pushing forward, moving ahead very quickly, the River Road. Even though we need to fix it, we need to expand it, if we went with the timeline on the state, it would not impact the taxpayers as much. Back to Wellfield. I talked to Lindsay. Before she put out the petition, she was asking me for different ways, and I said, well, you could write the county, and then she put out the petition. I shared that, and it's gotten a lot of attention. I was going to do an interview with her today, but she's busy. So I said, all right, I'll put out a report on it, basically showing the damage, showing the need to get it repaired. I think their sign-ups, I believe she said they're coming up soon, and they're going to hold them outside of that area because I drove by, and it is taped off. You can't really get onto the area. You can if you get the county's approval and go through whatever process it is, because the structure there. Now, I've seen it, and the field and everything seems all right. It's primarily all around this little concession stand, that top area you can see right there. The stadium really wasn't impacted, but there was some impact where they're concerned about the structure of it, so you're not allowed on there. And I'm not sure why you can just cordon off that area to allow the kids back access to the fields. Right now, they're saying there are 200 kids, different age groups, about 6 different age groups with the Vikings, and you got the cheerleaders, and they'll be utilizing some nearby multi-purpose fields to play games and stuff if that becomes necessary. The Vikings do have some fundraisers, which I said I would mention, which are the annual golf tournament at Waterford Club on July 22nd, and they're still looking for teams and sponsors. If you're interested, go to VeniceVikings.com or look up Venice Vikings on Facebook. They also have an email, VeniceViking@yahoo.com. And again, it all comes down to money, $2.5 million. I thought they said with those lights out at Chuck Ritter, it was even more. And what the city council locally is doing, they're saying, look, 11%, if that, of our residents are using it. Why are we putting out $2.5 million for this? The agreement is between the county and the club. The city had nothing to do with that, and how it's fallen back on the city is because the county's capped at $5,000, and then it goes to the intra-law agreement, and the city has to interlocal agreement. And the city has to pick up some of the costs there, and that's where they're balking. They're saying, look, not 89% of this is used by people within the county, not living in the city. And the county needs to kick in more, and the county's just basically saying, we're not going to do it. And I haven't talked to the county. I don't know if they're officially saying this. This is what was communicated at the City of Venice council meeting. We're not going to do it. That's your problem. We could care less what you do with the fields. If you want to mow them down and make them park, you do that. And that's when I put out my communication. It was funny how it came back and responded to one of the people and said, well, when things get published, things get lost in the communication, and I'm like, well, it's pretty hard to get it lost because not only was I transcribing, and I do like 60 words a minute, I put the video up, so there was no confusion, and what I said was accurate. And you'll notice if you watch the WWSB report that Chris put out yesterday, the Holic didn't refute it, and they didn't touch on it directly, but he was basically sitting there and saying the county needs to get involved. The pressure's on. What I told Lindsay is continue with your petition. I think she has over 1,000 signatures. I would continue writing the city of Venice. I've only seen a couple emails going into the city of Venice, though. I would definitely write the county because the county is the one that's going to be making the decision here. The city could care less. It's a lot of money to them. They're ready to just say, screw it. The county is the one that can fold under the pressure, especially since 89% of the residents are county residents and not city. So they're going to have more say at the county level. And I would continue to go in those two directions. I think Lindsay talked about doing a phone call blitz. I can tell you, though, Dieter is not a fan of emails and phone call blitzes. She's made that clear at a couple meetings. So that's where they stand. They need a lot of support, a lot of help out there, as you can see with the stadium. So if you can, do what you can to help them out. Again, Venice Vikings at yahoo.com, VeniceVikings.com, or Venice Vikings on Facebook to support them. And if you want to get involved in that golf tournament on July 22nd, this has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Scoop News.